The case you're about to see is fictional, but the jury is made up of members of the public who will assess the evidence and deliver their own verdict at the end of the program. Dr. Hector Ellis Katy is charged with wounding with intent to cause grievous bodily harm to Miss Deirdre Thompson, in that he performed an unnecessary caesarean operation on her when delivering her child. Miss Winifred Horton, Dr. Katy's assistant, is charged with aiding and abetting him.
Thus, the prosecution case is that why he performed the operation was that he had already arranged for Miss Thompson's child, which he may have been under the impression was unwanted, to be adopted by another of his patients, a woman who was herself unable to bear children, and that he, Dr. Katy, stood to gain a large sum of money for arranging this adoption. Now, to understand why a couple unable themselves to bear children might be willing to pay a considerable sum of money to someone who could arrange such an adoption, it is necessary for you to appreciate that in this country alone, there are 27 couples seeking to adopt for every white baby under the age of 2 available for adoption. I call my first witness, Miss Deirdre Thompson.
Deirdre Thompson, please. Just come this way, please. What is your religion?
Civi.
Take the Bible in your right hand and read aloud the words on this card.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Are you Miss Deirdre Thompson, and do you live at 17 Grange Road, Fulchester?
Yes.
And were you until recently a student of modern languages at Fulchester College of Further Education?
Yes.
Were you studying for an external degree at the University of Fulchester?
Yes.
Now, Miss Thompson, did you find out in January of last year that you were going to have a child?
Yes.
Had you planned for this?
No.
Were you then, and are you still unmarried?
Yes.
Now, what was your reaction when you found out that you were pregnant?
I wanted to have an abortion.
And what did you do to this end?
Well, I asked a girl in college, and she told me about Miss Horton. She gave me a telephone number.
And did you see Miss Horton?
Yes.
When?
On the 9th of January.
And did she arrange for you to see Dr. Katy?
Yes.
Was this on the 11th of January last year?
Yes.
Now, at this time, did you have any idea how many weeks your pregnancy was advanced?
10 weeks.
Now, were you absolutely sure of this?
Yes.
Now, when you saw Dr. Katy and told him you wanted to terminate your pregnancy, what did he say?
That I was too late.
Did he say how many weeks pregnant he thought you were?
Just that I was too late.
Did you argue with him?
Yes, but there was nothing I could say.
Did he use a lot of medical mumbo-jumbo to confuse you?
I really must object.
My learned friend knows I mean no harm.
Say what you mean, Mr. Kent.
Very well, my lord. What was the outcome of this first meeting with Dr. Katy? Did he agree or did he refuse to terminate your pregnancy?
He refused.
Now, did something happen not long after that first meeting with Dr. Katy?
Yes. Miss Horton rang 2 days later.
Had you been expecting this telephone call?
No.
Now, what did she say to you?
She said, why didn't I come and have a chat?
And did you meet Miss Horton for this chat?
Yes.
What did she say then?
She told me that Dr. Katy had a patient who wanted to adopt a child and would pay for me to have it at the nursing home and give me some money.
Did she mention a sum?
£100.
£100. I see. Now, did Miss Horton say why this woman was willing to subsidize your pregnancy in this way?
That she wanted to adopt the baby when it was born.
So this payment of money and payment of your medical fees was to be conditional on you allowing her to adopt the baby?
Yes. Well, not in so many words, but that's what she meant.
Did you agree at that time to this arrangement?
Yes.
Now, did you see Miss Horton or Dr. Katy again?
Yes, she made an appointment for me to see Dr. Katy.
And what happened at that appointment?
Where he registered me as a patient and gave me a talking to.
Can you remember anything he said to you?
He said I was wise to have the child adopted. and that otherwise I'd have to stop my studies.
Did Dr. Katy ever say to you on this or on other occasions anything about the difficulties for you if you kept this child?
One time he said, "You'd probably rather wait until you leave college and start a family properly."
Anything else?
Yes, he said there aren't many men willing to marry a girl with an illegitimate child.
So, he emphasized the black side of your situation.
Yes.
Mr. Canty, I don't understand the relevance of all this. What is the significance in relation to the charge, which is grievous bodily harm, of the suggestion that the accused wanted Miss Thompson to agree to the adoption?
Well, my lord, I'd hoped I'd made that clear in my opening.
No.
I'm sorry. My lord, members of the jury, the point is that a mother who has given her consent to an adoption is less likely to change her mind after the birth if the birth is by a caesarean operation than if it is a normal birth. Thus, if the accused were anxious to arrange for an adoption, they had a motive for promoting a caesarean operation.
Oh, yes, I see. Thank you.
Now, did you see Dr. Katy on the 29th of July last year?
Yes.
And did he tell you to come into the clinic on the next day?
Yes.
Were you going to have your labor started artificially?
Yes.
Now, my lord, members of the jury, this is a process that is called induction. It's a method whereby a woman's labor is started artificially by the administration of a drug. In this case, a drug named oxytocin. It's common and perfectly proper practice. Miss Thompson, were you admitted to the clinic on the evening of the 30th of July last?
Yes, I was.
And on the following morning, that is the morning of the 31st of July, did you meet a Miss Bowden, the midwife who was to supervise your labor?
Yes.
Well, now,
My lord, she will be giving evidence. Miss Thompson, did Miss Bowden start your labor?
Yes, she did.
Did this involve inserting a needle in your arm and connecting the needle to a bottle that was by your bed?
Yes.
Now, how long was it before you felt any labor pains once this was done?
Not for a long time.
Did nothing happen?
Nothing.
Do you know whether Miss Bowden pointed this out to Dr. Katy?
Yes, she said that perhaps the drug in the bottle was too weak and that she should change it for a stronger one.
And what was his reply to that?
He told her not to.
And did she sometime later change that bottle?
Yes.
Do you remember her making that change?
Yes.
And what was the result of it?
I immediately started to feel contractions.
Were they painful?
Yes.
I mean, was the pain bearable?
Yes.
Was it the sort of thing you had been led to expect from the reading and so on that you had done in preparation for having this child?
Yes.
Now, let me be perfectly clear about this, Miss Thompson. You did not start to get these pains until Miss Bowden had changed the bottle that contained the drug that was inducing your labor.
Yes.
Now, sometime after this change had been made, did Dr. Katy come and see you again?
Yes.
Now, what was his reaction when he found out that the bottle of oxytocin had been changed?
He was very angry. He called Miss Bowden out into the corridor.
Did he do anything before he called her out?
He turned off the apparatus by the bed.
He turned off the drug that had started your labor.
Yes. Then
see.
he called Miss Bowden out into the corridor and I could hear them arguing.
Did you see Miss Bowden again after this?
No.
Had you told Miss Bowden during the time she was with you that you had given your consent to have the child adopted?
Yes.
All right, what happened next?
Miss Horton came in.
And what did she say to you?
She said, "Poor dearie, your baby's not well. We're going to have to operate."
Did she or Dr. Katy make an examination before this decision?
No.
And were you then taken to the operating theatre while you were still awake?
Yes.
Who took you there?
Miss Horton and one of the orderlies.
Did Miss Horton come into the operating theatre?
Yes.
And what did she do?
She put on a mask and a
gown.
coat, a gown, yes.
Now, was she wearing these things when you were put under the anesthetic?
Yes, she was.
And was she standing by the operating table?
My lord, it's difficult to imagine a worse moment for a leading question.
Yes, I am inclined to agree, Mr. Canty.
I'm sorry, my lord. Miss Thompson, where was Miss Horton when you were about to be put under the anesthetic?
By the operating table.
Thank you. Now, how long did all this take? I mean, from the time Miss Bowden was summoned from the delivery room to your arrival in the operating theatre?
About 40 minutes.
40 minutes, I see. Now, when you recovered consciousness after the operation, were you alone?
Yes.
Was your baby anywhere to be seen?
No.
And did Miss Horton come in and did she ask you Or rather, did you ask her if you might see your baby?
Yes, I did.
And what was her reply?
That it was all right and that it would be well looked after.
Did you tell her again that you wanted to see it?
Yes.
Did you ask whether it was a boy or a girl?
Yes.
Did you ask her more than once to see your baby?
Yes, I did.
And were you allowed to see it?
No.
I see. Did Dr. Katy come and see you on the afternoon after the child was born?
Yes.
Was this mainly a medical checkup?
Yes, it was.
Now, during this medical checkup, did you say anything to him about the child?
Yes, I said I wanted to see him.
And what did he say?
The woman, the new mother, was getting him at the end of the week, and it would be better if I didn't see him.
What did you do when he said that?
I screamed and I said he was my child.
Now, 2 days later, did Dr. Katy come and see you again?
Yes.
Now, Miss Thompson, what did you believe about your child by this time?
Well, I thought he must be deformed.
Why did you believe that?
I thought they were protecting me from him.
Did you tell Dr. Katy this?
Yes.
I see. And Dr. Katy then agreed to let you see your child.
Yes.
And did you?
Miss Horton brought him to me.
Was he all right?
He was perfect.
Now, what did Miss Horton do then?
She tried to take him from me, but I wouldn't let her. I never let him out of my sight until I got out of there.
Thank you, Miss Thompson. I have no further questions, my lord.
So, Miss Thompson, the jury can take it as a matter of fact that when you saw Dr. Katy first, what you wanted was to get rid of your child.
Yes.
Yes, what you wanted was an abortion. What my learned friend has euphemistically called a termination, but what in plain English is called an abortion. That's what you wanted, is it not?
Yes.
Yes, and so it is entirely thanks to Dr. Katy that your child is alive today.
Yes.
Yes. Are you grateful to Dr. Katy for this?
I'm not grateful to Dr. Katy.
Really? Now, a great deal has been made by the prosecution in this case about the fact that Dr. Katy talked to you about the possibility of adoption. And the implication has been that this might in some way constitute a motive for performing an unnecessary caesarean operation. And no doubt my learned friend has plans to elucidate how these two things might ride together as motive and crime, and I look forward to that. But, yes, at the moment, I'm only concerned with this talk of adoption. You're unmarried, Miss Thompson?
Yes.
And were at the time we're dealing with?
Yes.
Yes. Now, what was your financial position at the time we're speaking of?
Not very good.
No. Were you living on your own in a single room and studying during the day?
Yes.
Yes. Well, now, under these circumstances, did it surprise you that Dr. Katy talked to you about the possibility of adoption?
No.
No. No. Well, in that case, I'll spend no more time on that, but I'll come straight to the delivery of your child. May I have exhibit number 1, please? Show it to the witness, please. This is the consent to surgery, my lord, dated the 29th of July, 1974. Will you look at the signature, please, Miss Thompson? And tell the court if you recognize it as your own.
Yes.
Did you read this document before you signed it?
Yes.
Yes. So you had entrusted to Dr. Katy the right to carry out surgery.
Yes, if
Yes, which is what he did.
With
Now,
respect, my lord, the words are all necessary surgery. The witness gave consent to necessary surgery.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Canty. It hadn't escaped my notice.
Of course not, my lord.
Nor indeed had it escaped my notice, my lord.
Oh, well, that's something.
Yeah, but I'm grateful to my learned friend for raising the matter. Now, when you signed this form, Miss Thompson, who did you think would be the judge of whether surgery would be necessary or not?
I didn't think about it.
No, but I mean, did you think that you would be the person to decide?
No.
No, did you think it would be, well, the midwife or one of the orderlies?
No.
No, who would it be? I mean, who would it obviously have to be?
Well, Dr. Katy,
Dr. Katy, precisely. Let's spend no more time on that. Now, Dr. Katy decided that surgery was the only way of saving your child, and he exercised the right to perform it, which you had given him by signing that document. Now, let's turn to these extraordinary allegations that you've made, that your child was kept from you for the 3 days following its delivery.
Yes.
Yes. Now, you've told the court about the fears that you had that your child might have been born deformed.
Yes.
Yes. But this, however, you've told us proved to be no more than a morbid fantasy.
Because they wouldn't let me see him.
Yes, but you've told the court, have you not, that you suffered this fear and that it proved to be groundless.
Because they kept him
Just
from me.
answer the question, please, Miss Thompson. Did you suffer this fear?
Yes.
Yes. And did it prove to be groundless?
Yes.
Good. Did you also think that you were kept locked in your room?
Yes, I was.
Yes. What made you think this?
I heard the key turn every time someone came into the room.
And when they left?
Yes, when they left, I heard it turn again.
Yes. Did you ever try the door yourself to check whether your suspicion was correct?
No.
No, why not?
Because I couldn't move. Because of the operation, I was unable to move.
Yes, precisely. This severe abdominal wound prevented you from leaving your bed, didn't it?
Yes.
A fact that would have been well known to Dr. Katy. So even if he had thought that you should be confined to your room, there would obviously have been no point in his locking the door, since he knew that you couldn't move anyway. This whole thing was simply a product of your distressed and confused state of mind at the time. And during this time, I suggest to you, Miss Thompson, that you never asked to see your child, did you?
No, yes, I did.
It may well be that it distresses you now to remember it and to talk about it. But it is the case, is it not, Miss Thompson, that during those early days you rejected your child?
No, that's not
Now,
true.
I put it to you, Miss Thompson, that the reluctance that you allege on the part of Dr. Katy to show you your child, when in fact you were refusing to see it, is nothing more than a figment of your confused and distressed state of mind at the time. And the simple fact is, Miss Thompson, that you said you did not want to see it.
They wouldn't let me have him. They locked me in and they wouldn't let me see my child.
Kent?
Well, my lord, I have another witness whom I could call, my lord, if you thought fit.
Mr. Honeycomb. Yes, we'll see that Miss Thompson is looked after. We will hear the remainder of her evidence later. Please call your next witness.
I call Mrs. Elizabeth Ludmilla Lytton. Oh, Mrs. Lytton, are you a consultant obstetrician attached to Fulchester Hospital?
Yes.
And are you the author of several articles for learned medical journals and also a paper on psychiatry and obstetrics, a paper that was read at a Rome conference recently?
Yes.
Now, I'd like to ask you some questions concerning the caesarean operation. Is that familiar ground for you?
Yes.
Now, who, in your opinion, is the person best placed to tell whether a delivery by caesarean is going to be necessary?
Are we talking here of an emergency caesarean section?
Yes.
Well, the best placed person in purely practical terms would normally be the midwife. But the decision would rest with the doctor.
Well, now, in your experience, which you know is considerable, have you ever encountered a total disagreement between a doctor and an experienced midwife as to the necessity for a caesarean operation?
No.
Is it then a rare occurrence?
Very rare, I would say.
Now, to what do you attribute that?
You don't want me to be very technical, do you?
Oh, no.
Not if you can avoid it, please, Mrs. Lytton.
Well, either a caesarean section is a dire emergency. That is to say, something is obviously very wrong, or there is a fairly obvious malfunctioning on the part of the mother, or a malpresentation of the fetus. And these things are pretty easy to diagnose if you're experienced. You may well have to do a caesarean section, but not as urgently as in a dire emergency.
I see. Well, subject to any objection from my friend, I shall say that we are dealing with an alleged dire emergency. Now, what are the normal circumstances that constitute such an emergency?
Extreme fetal distress is the most usual, when you simply have to bring the mother into the theatre as quickly as possible and get the baby out.
Would the midwife be able to recognize this?
Well, the midwife must be able to recognize this.
Have you ever encountered in your experience a midwife who was unable to recognize these signs of fetal distress?
No.
Very well. I want now to turn to another aspect of this subject. When a mother is delivered by this operation, does it mean that she does not endure the pain of labor?
She does not endure the vital pain of the final stage of labor.
You say this pain is vital, Mrs. Lytton. Why do you say that?
It's what Hadfield, in his work Psychology and Morals, called the construct of labor, by which he meant that the Pain itself is part of the cementing process that takes place between mother and child.
And is this cementing process between mother and child likely to be weakened by performing a caesarean operation?
Of course. Well, not merely weakened. It is removed.
I would like to ask you about the effect of separating a mother from her newborn infant. First of all, would you tell the court what is the ideal procedure immediately after the birth of the child?
That the mother should take the newly born infant and place it immediately to her breast.
Now, why is that considered to be the ideal?
It's thought that every hour beyond 6 hours that a mother is kept from her newborn child puts the natural bond of affection between mother and child in deeper jeopardy.
Could a mother kept apart from her child for a number of days fail to form an affection for it?
Oh, yes. Particularly if her feelings about having the child were ambivalent.
Would this invariably happen?
Oh, no. That is the risk.
What would be the result after such an enforced separation when a mother who did want to see her child eventually saw it?
She's most likely to form a fierce, almost aggressive affection for it. She's making up for having been deprived of the most important moments in what Winnicott called the beginning of the lifetime love affair.
Is it not the case, Miss Thompson, that you rejected your child throughout your pregnancy?
I didn't think I'd be able to manage with him. I didn't reject him.
Can you think of a more conclusive, a more savage rejection than seeking an abortion?
I didn't think I could manage.
Now, whatever your reason, Miss Thompson, can you think of a more conclusive rejection of a child than seeking to abort it?
No.
Which is what you had done, as we've heard. Now, when you were eventually reconciled to your child after those first few days in the clinic, how much longer did you stay there?
A week.
7 more days?
Yes.
Yes. And did anyone try to take the child from you?
I wouldn't let them.
Well, can we agree then, Miss Thompson, that no one sought to remove your child from you during your remaining 7 days in the clinic?
Yes.
And that your fear that they might do so was yet another manifestation of the distressed state of your mind at the time?
Yes.
Now, I put it to you that your state of mind and your belief that your child was being withheld from you when in fact you were refusing to see it is no more than a product of the enormous guilt that you feel at having rejected your child in the way that you did.
But I didn't reject him.
And you have tried to allay your guilt by blaming 2 wholly innocent people to whom, in fact, you owe a debt of gratitude.
No.
Thank you, my lord. I have no further questions.
Now, Miss Tate, have you any questions for the witness?
My lord? Miss Thompson, I am here to represent Miss Horton. I've only a couple of questions to ask you. Now, you have told my learned friend for the prosecution that Miss Horton offered you the sum of £100 if you would allow your child to go for adoption, have you not?
Yes.
And you said that you agreed to this illegal arrangement.
I didn't know it was illegal.
Now, just tell my lord and the jury whether or not you agreed to the arrangement.
Yes.
And this offer was made to help you through your pregnancy at a time when you would be particularly hard up.
Yes.
Did you receive any of the money?
No.
Did you ask for it?
No.
Or would it not have been useful to you?
I suppose it would.
Well, I put it to you that you did not ask for it because the offer was never made.
It was made.
Then why not ask for it?
Well, I suppose I thought it was for after I'd had the child.
Miss Thompson, I'm not asking you why you did not receive it. I'm asking you why you did not ask for it when you were so short of money.
I didn't think of the money.
No, of course not, because the offer was never made.
It was.
Well, let us come now to the scene in the operating theatre that you've described so vividly to us. Now, you say that you were taken to the operating theatre by Miss Horton and an orderly.
Yes.
Did Miss Horton leave you between taking you to the operating theatre and your being put under anaesthetic?
Yes.
Now, this is something that we have not yet heard about. And the jury may have formed the impression that Miss Horton was by your side until you were anaesthetized. But this is not the case, is it?
No.
Is it not the case that once you'd arrived at the operating theatre, Miss Horton left your side?
Yes, but she came back almost immediately.
Was she wearing a mask and a gown?
Yes.
And did she wear a cotton cap or some such headdress?
Yes.
And so you presume that this was Miss Horton because she had just left your side?
No, it was her.
Were you frightened before the operation?
Yes.
And was a bright light shining down on you, making it difficult for you to see properly?
I could still see.
Well, I put it to you, Miss Thompson, that upset by the fear of the impending operation, and this bright light shining down on you, and this person being obscured by special clothing, you were mistaken.
I could recognize Miss Horton. That's all I can say.
I've no further questions, my lord.
Do you wish to re-examine Mr. Katy?
No, thank you, my lord.
Thank you. You may leave the witness box, Miss Thompson.
I call Miss Veronica Bowden. Miss Bowden, were you until last July employed as a midwife by Dr. Katy at the Gulliver Clinic?
Yes,
And in July of last year, when you left the Gulliver Clinic, how long had you been employed there?
for 6 months.
Before that, where had you been employed?
In the maternity department of Queen Margaret's Hospital in London.
For how long had you been employed there?
37 years.
Now, Queen Margaret's is one of the leading maternity hospitals, is it not?
It is, yes.
And in what capacity were you employed there?
I was ward sister.
Now, Miss Bowden, did Dr. Katy tell you on the 29th of July last year that he wanted you to supervise the confinement of Miss Thompson, who was to be admitted to the clinic the following evening?
He did, yes.
Did he tell you that she was to be induced?
Yes.
Which simply means that her labor was to be started by the administration of a drug called oxytocin.
Yes.
Miss Bowden, I would like to ask you, is it normal nowadays to bring on a woman's labor artificially in this way?
Well, yes.
You sound doubtful. Is it common practice?
Well, where it's necessary, it's certainly a good thing. And it is common practice. But where it's done for the convenience of the doctor and staff, I don't think it's a good thing.
Was it done for the convenience of the staff at the Gulliver Clinic?
Oh, undoubtedly. Almost every woman had had her labor induced at the Gulliver Clinic.
I see. Yeah.
Now, when did you start to induce Miss Thompson's labor?
On the morning of the 31st of July last year.
And you did it by the administration of this drug, oxytocin. didn't
Yes.
you? Now, can you tell my lord and the jury what effect this drug has?
Well, it starts the woman's contractions. In lay terms, her labor pains.
Then how is it administered to the patient?
Well, in Miss Thompson's case, in the usual way, into the forearm, through a tube into a vein.
And it is dripped into this vein in a highly diluted form, am I right?
Yes.
Now, the speed at which this drug is administered, that is, of drips per minute, and the strength of the solution of this drug, does this affect the intensity and regularity of the patient's pains?
Oh, yes.
And did you find that in the case of Miss Deirdre Thompson, you were administering a very large dose of this drug, but that her labor did not start as you would have expected?
Yes.
Now, could you tell my lord and the jury about this without being too technical, please?
Yes. I started to administer the oxytocin at the rate of 16 drips per minute. This didn't start the contractions, so I increased the drip rate to 24. This still had no result. So after half an hour, I switched over the drip rate to 32 drips per minute. At the end of 2 hours, I was administering the drug at the rate of 48 drips per minute, and she was only getting weak and infrequent contractions.
Is 48 drips per minute a high dosage?
Extremely high.
And have you had experience of this kind of thing before?
Yes, but only infrequently until I came to the Gulliver Clinic.
Would you tell the court what you mean by that, please, Miss Bowden?
Well, I would expect to come across it 2 or 3 times a year in my ward at Queen Margaret's Hospital. At the Gulliver Clinic, I had far fewer patients and had encountered 3 cases in 3 months.
Now, after 2 hours, did Dr. Katy come on his rounds to the delivery room where you were?
Yes.
And did you tell him what was happening?
Yes, I told him that the patient's contractions were not satisfactory, and he checked this for himself on the graph, and he agreed with me.
Did you then say something to him?
Yes. I suggested that I should change the bottle at the pharmacy for a stronger solution.
And what was his reaction to that?
He told me on no account to do that.
Was he emphatic about that?
Yes, he told me that he would keep an eye on things.
Now, as a result of Dr. Katy's reaction to your suggestion that you should give Miss Thompson a stronger dosage of this drug, did you do something?
Yes. I went to the pharmacy and got another bottle of oxytocin.
Was this a stronger solution?
No,
Not a stronger solution.
no, the same strength.
But why, if the solution you had was not working, did you exchange it for a bottle of the same strength?
Because I suspected the bottle I'd been given originally contained either plain sterile water or was so diluted as to have virtually no effect.
Did you tell the pharmacy that you had been told by Dr. Katy to get this bottle?
Yes,
This was untrue.
yes.
Now, what happened when you administered this new bottle of the same strength to the patient?
After half an hour, her contractions were normal and labour was progressing satisfactorily.
And this with a bottle of the drug marked in exactly in the same way as had previously failed to give any results at all.
Yes.
Now, what happened when Dr. Katy found out that you had changed this bottle and that as a result the labor was progressing normally?
He was very angry.
Well, did he not seem pleased that the labor was at last going properly?
No.
And what did he do?
He switched off the apparatus and told me to go to his office.
Was there anything that suggested to you, Miss Bowden, that within 40 minutes of your leaving this patient, that is, Miss Thompson, that it would be necessary for her to have a cesarean operation to deliver her baby?
Nothing. There can have been no need.
Thank you, Miss Bowden. I have no further questions, my lord.
Now, Miss Bowden, this drug, oxytocin, comes in different strengths, does it not?
Yes.
Is it possible to administer such a powerful dose of this drug that the contractions become dangerous to the child?
Oh, yes.
Yes. And in the event of overdoing it with the drug, could you cause what is called a tonic contraction?
Yes.
That is a contraction where the uterus goes into a seizure and grips the fetus and the contraction does not release.
That is a fair description of a tonic contraction. Yes.
Thank you. Now, such a contraction could put the life of an unborn child at risk.
It could, yes.
What action would be necessary to save a child in these circumstances?
A caesarean section.
Yes. Now, I suggest to you that when you exchanged that bottle of oxytocin for another bottle, you exchanged it for a bottle of twice the original strength.
No, I didn't.
Well, since you've said that the contractions were not progressing favorably with the weaker solution, what could be more natural than changing it for a bottle of a stronger solution?
But I thought the first bottle was diluted, or simply sterile water.
I suggest to you that when you administered that second solution to the patient, it caused her to suffer something that was or approached the strength and dangerousness of a tonic contraction.
That is not so.
And that was the situation when Dr. Katy came back into the delivery room, and that was the situation that made a caesarean section so urgent.
No.
Miss Bowden, would you agree with me that discipline is one of the most vital elements in the running of any medical establishment?
Yes, under normal circumstances.
And would a breach of discipline, such as you had committed, be sufficient grounds for your dismissal?
It could be.
Now, although you may allege some other motive, would there be any need for further grounds?
There wouldn't need to be.
Quite. Now, you've told my learned friend for the prosecution that you got in touch with Miss Thompson through her college shortly after she left the clinic with her child.
That's right.
Yes. Now, would you agree that soon after the birth of a child, particularly under circumstances like this, the mother can be in a depressed and vulnerable state of mind?
Yes, I would agree that that is possible.
Yes, and is it not the case that you took advantage of this state of mind in Miss Thompson in order to get your revenge on Dr. Katy?
Now, with respect, my lord, my friend has laid no foundation for that.
Well, if my learned friend objects, I will lay foundations. When you contacted Miss Thompson, Miss Bowden, what was your motive?
To find out if her child had been delivered by caesarean section, as I suspected.
And when she told you that it had, did you not then immediately tell her that the operation had been unnecessary?
No. I asked her what Dr. Katy's reaction had been when she told him she was keeping the child.
Yes, and then did you tell her that, in your opinion, the operation had been unnecessary?
Yes.
But since you were not present when the operation was performed, There was no possible way in which you could know whether the operation was necessary or not.
I could tell perfectly well that they wanted to sell that child for adoption.
Now, I put it to you, Miss Bowden, that this is a malicious story which you have fabricated out of some half-truths and groundless suspicions in order to get your revenge on Dr. Katy.
It's no such thing.
And you have made use of the vulnerable state of mind of Miss Thompson in order to pursue your own personal vendetta in this matter.
That is not true.
I have no further questions, my lord.
Miss Bowden, I am appearing on behalf of Miss Horton, and I would like to check one matter of fact with you, if I may. Now, when this operation was being performed on Miss Thompson, you had left the clinic, had you not?
I believe I had, yes.
And so you did not witness any of the preparation for or the performance of this operation?
No.
And so you do not know, apart from what you've been told, whether or not Miss Horton took any part in the operation?
I don't know, no.
Thank you. That is all, my lord.
I have no re-examination, my lord.
Thank you, Miss Bowden. May I remind your lordship that you... Oh, yes, and you are released. Unless counsel wish you to stay? No. Thank you.
Well, that concludes the prosecution case, my lord.
Well, now, I think we've time to begin to hear your first witness, Mr. Honeycomb, if you are prepared.
My lord, I am in some difficulty here. My client, Dr. Katy, suffers from a duodenal ulcer, which at the moment is causing him a degree of physical distress. Now, although he has expressed a willingness to go into the witness box, I'm loath to call him until he's feeling a little better.
Have you any other witnesses?
No, my lord.
Oh, dear. Well, perhaps Miss Tate would be prepared to go first.
Well, I've no objection, my lord.
That is, if Mr. Canty doesn't object.
What?
No. Very well. Miss Tate.
I call Miss Winifred Horton, my lord. Miss Horton, you're a fully trained midwife, are you not?
Yes, that's right.
And how many years of experience have you had?
In midwifery, 30 years?
Well, I'm asking you.
30 years.
And for how long have you been working at the Gulliver Clinic?
For 11 years, ever since Dr. Katy founded it.
In what capacity were you employed there?
I was the matron in the maternity wing.
And were you, as has been said, Dr. Katy's right-hand man?
I'd like to think I was. No, I just did my job like almost everyone else on the permanent staff. I didn't have any special relationship with Dr. Katy.
Now, have you heard that Dr. Katy occasionally acted as third party in adoption arrangements?
I think I've heard he did.
And do you know whether this was a service he performed with no other than altruistic motives, or whether he received any financial gain?
I'm sure he received no reward.
Did you ever have anything to do with these third-party adoptions?
Oh, no. There would have been nothing for me to do.
I see. Now, when did you meet Miss Thompson?
On the 9th of January last year.
And how did this meeting take place?
She rang up and came to see us at the clinic.
Would you tell the court what happened?
Yes. It was quite a short meeting, poor girlie. She was very distraught. She was in the family way. Very unhappy about it and wanted a little abortion.
And did you make an appointment for her to see Dr. Katy?
Yes. Didn't know what her dates were. Very confused, poor girlie.
And that is all that happened at the first meeting?
Yes.
Now, when did you next see her?
2 days later, when she came for her appointment.
And did you then learn that she was not going to have an abortion?
Yes.
And did you register her as Dr. Katy's patient?
Yes, he was going to look after her during the waiting time.
You mean he was going to supervise her pregnancy?
Yes.
Did you ever
Yes.
talk to her about her having her baby adopted after it was born?
No.
Did you make an offer of money to her, either on your own or on anybody else's behalf?
Oh, no. The poor girl dreamt it.
Was she simply another of Dr. Katy's patients to you?
One of his poor old unmarried mums, yes.
Did you have chance to speak to her at all during her pregnancy?
Not really, only to be polite. Until she came in to have her baby.
From what you saw of her on the day she was admitted, would you say she was a good patient?
Oh, yes. Looking forward to having it out of the way.
Did she tell you that she was looking forward to having it out of the way?
Well, poor dearie, it can be a trying time, those last few
please
days.
tell me, Miss Horton. Were those her actual words, that she was looking forward to having it out of the way?
Well, not her actual words. It was her whole manner.
Well, let us come to the day after Miss Thompson was admitted. That is the day she had her child. Now, was it you who told Miss Bowden that she would be looking after Miss Thompson?
Yes.
And was it you who got the bottle of oxytocin that was to be used for this induction?
No, that was one of the nurses.
Now, you were not in any way concerned with the early stages of Miss Thompson's labor.
No.
But during the early part of the afternoon that day, did you receive an urgent summons to Dr. Katy?
I did, yes.
And did you go to the delivery room where Miss Thompson was in labor?
Yes.
And what happened on your arrival?
It was deplorable. I could hear Miss Bowden's voice raised in anger as I approached. As I arrived, poor Dr. Katy was trying to calm her and get her out of the room.
What was the condition of the patient?
Very distressed. Although I didn't realize the full seriousness until Dr. Katy had got Miss Bowden out of the room.
What had happened to the patient?
She'd been given far too strong a dose of oxytocin, and her uterus was in danger of going into seizure. Thankfully, the drip beside her bed had been switched off.
What was the condition of the unborn child?
Very serious. Very serious.
How could you tell that?
I checked the fetal heart. It was faint and irregular, very worrying.
And did this mean that a cesarean would be necessary?
An emergency Caesar. It was the only answer. We had to save the child.
So, Miss Horton, when you arrived in the delivery room where Miss Thompson was confined, you were of the opinion that the patient and child were in a dangerous condition.
Oh, yes.
And did you perceive this as soon as you arrived?
No, not until after Dr. Katy had got Miss Bowden out of the room.
But are you of the opinion that whilst the argument that we've heard about between Dr. Katy and Miss Bowden was going on, the patient and her child were in a highly dangerous condition?
She must have been. Dr. Katy was trying to do something, but, well, with Miss Bowden there in the way and so on, it was impossible.
Are you saying that Miss Bowden must have known that the mother and child were in danger and was deliberately preventing help from getting to them?
I don't know if she knew.
But there is a machine, is there not, which shows very graphically the strength of the mother's contractions. Now, Miss Bowden, as we all know, is a very experienced midwife. Do you think it's possible that she wouldn't know there was a danger, if danger there was?
I would have thought she would.
And are you saying that Miss Bowden was deliberately seeking to endanger the life of the mother and child?
No, I don't know what she was up to.
Well, if she knew that the danger existed, and if she was preventing Dr. Katy from attending to the patient, then she was seeking to endanger, indeed to end, the life of this unborn child.
She was unbalanced at the time.
I suggest to you that she was doing no such thing, and that the mother and child were in no danger at all. That the labor had been progressing perfectly satisfactorily until your interference.
No.
I put it to you, Miss Horton, that this drug had had no ill effects and that no operation was necessary.
It was urgent.
Now, it is a fact, isn't it, that you helped in the operating theatre on occasions?
Yes.
And you tell us now that this operation was urgent.
Yes.
Why did you not help then at this urgent operation?
I was attending to another patient and I was needed in the ward.
Would it not have been easier to get someone else to attend to this less urgent function?
No.
No? You see, I must put it to you, Miss Horton, that you were indeed in the operating theatre on this occasion, as Miss Thompson has said you were, and that you did help Dr. Katy in this entirely unnecessary operation.
No, you're absolutely wrong.
I have no further questions, my lord.
I have no re-examination, my lord.
You may return to the dock, Miss Horton.
That concludes my evidence, my lord.
Well now, Mr. Honeycomb, with regard to your client's health, I think we'll adjourn until tomorrow.
All stand.
Should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Are you Dr. Hector Ellis Katy, FRCOG, FRCS, of number 11 Rodney Mews, Colchester?
I am.
And are you a qualified surgeon and gynecologist?
I am.
And are you the author of the book Obstetrics, The Way Ahead?
I am.
And you founded the Gulliver Clinic in 1963, did you not?
I did.
Yes. Now, my learned friend has referred frequently, and with a rather sinister air, if he will forgive me for saying so, to the fact that you have in the past acted as a third party in adoption proceedings. Now, with your help, I would like to make the position perfectly clear on this matter of third-party adoptions.
It might be a good idea, Mr. Honeycomb, if you were to explain briefly to the jury exactly what is a third-party adoption.
Yes, my lord. It is simply, members of the jury, an adoption in which any private individual, one of yourselves, for instance, or as in this case, Dr. Katy, takes it upon him or herself to supervise the adoption of an infant by an adoptive couple and to make sure that all the requirements of the law are observed. Now, these requirements are mainly that the natural mother is willing and has given her consent in writing, and that no money changes hands which is in any way dependent upon the adoption.
And if my memory serves me correctly, Mr. Honeycomb, the third party is responsible to the magistrate's court in this function.
That is the case, my lord, and to the local authority where the adoptive parents reside.
Do let's get on.
Yes, my lord. Now, you were, if I'm right, Dr. Katy, treating a substantial number of women who were unable to bear children.
Yes.
And because of their age, were a lot of these women unable to adopt through the normal adoption societies?
Yes, a lot were.
And as we know, it was also your job, was it not, to supervise a number of unplanned pregnancies, which inevitably resulted in a certain number of unwanted children.
Well, if I were unable to reconcile the mother to her child after it was born, there was an unwanted child, yes.
And what would you do in such a situation?
On some of those occasions, I would arrange for that child to be adopted by one of my child list patients.
Yes, yes. What could be more natural than that? Now, did you ever receive payment for this service?
No, never.
No. Now, let us talk about your patient, Miss Deirdre Thompson. She came to see you first on the 11th of January of last year seeking an abortion.
Yes.
Now, did you advise her for or against an abortion?
Against.
Why was that?
She was unsure of her dates. I didn't want a live fetus. Also, I didn't think she qualified under the terms of the Act on psychiatric grounds.
Yes, and was there another overriding reason?
Yes, there was. After I'd spoken to her for some time, she agreed that it would be better for her to have her child and to see how she felt then.
And did you also advise her that she could always have the child adopted if she couldn't cope with it herself?
Yes, of course.
Now, why did you mention adoption?
Well, to make it clear to her that if she had her child and couldn't then cope with it, there was an alternative for her to take.
Mm-hmm. And did you offer to supervise her pregnancy?
No, I didn't offer. I asked if she wished to register as a patient. She said she did.
Now, did you ever suggest or lead her to believe that this treatment was free or in any way dependent upon her having the child adopted at the end of it?
No.
No. Now, did she, throughout your supervision of her pregnancy, ever mention to you that she had changed her mind and wanted to keep the child after all?
No.
No. Now, on the morning of July the 31st last year, Deirdre Thompson's labor was started by the administration of the drug oxytocin, was it not?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. When you first saw Thompson on that day, was her labor progressing satisfactorily?
Well, I saw her early. She'd only been in labor for a very short time. It was progressing quite well.
Yes. Was it a little on the slow side?
You might say so.
Would you say so, Dr. Katy?
Well, my lord, it wasn't anything I'd have intervened in.
Are you saying that although slow, it was not slow enough to cause concern?
Yes, my lord.
Yeah.
Did Miss Bowden, the midwife in charge of Miss Thompson, express concern at the rate at which labor was progressing?
Slight concern, yes.
Yes, and did she then suggest something to you?
Yes, she did. She suggested that she should use a stronger solution of oxytocin.
Yes, and did you tell her that she was not to do that?
Yes.
Why did you tell her that?
Because I have experience of a delayed reaction to this drug, and I thought it was far too early to take any steps of that kind.
Did you believe that Miss Bowden had accepted your instruction not to change that bottle for a stronger solution?
Yes, I did.
And when you next visited Thompson, what did you find?
I found that Miss Bowden had changed the oxytocin solution.
With what results that you could perceive at the time?
Well, my patient was suffering severe contractions.
And what action did you take?
I immediately switched off the apparatus that was administering the drug.
And did there then follow an argument between Miss Bowden and yourself?
Oh, no. No, I didn't argue with her. I told her that she must go.
And what did she reply?
She said that Miss Thompson was her patient, that she would administer the labor in the manner that she thought best.
Mm-hmm. And so did you then take her to your office and dismiss her?
Yes, I did.
Yes. And what was the situation when you returned to the delivery room?
Well, Miss Horton told me that there was acute fetal distress. And so I put things in train immediately for an emergency Caesar.
And was Miss Horton's diagnosis of extreme fetal distress correct?
Yes, it was. And in my opinion, it was entirely due to the administration of too strong a solution of oxytocin.
Now, Miss Bowden has told the court that there could not possibly be anything wrong with Miss Thompson so soon after she left because the patient was perfectly well when she left. Now, Dr. Katy, is that true?
No. The patient was not perfectly well when she left. That is a lie.
Was Miss Horton in the operating theatre with you?
No.
After she had taken Miss Thompson to the operating theatre, did she return there at any time during the operation?
No, she did not. She returned to her duties in the labor ward.
And she didn't help you at all in the performance of the operation?
No.
I have no further questions, my lord.
I would like to start by asking you some questions about third-party adoptions, Dr. Katy. Now, with respect, my friend was rather discreet in this matter, but as he pointed out, you are almost uniquely placed to act as third party in these adoptions, and that you have almost everyday contact with women unable to bear children, some of whom would want to adopt. And you also had a steady, although perhaps not very numerous, supply of unwanted infants. Is that correct?
As far as the facts go, that is perfectly correct, yes. As far as your insinuations go, they are quite without foundation.
We are concerned only with the facts, Dr. Katy, I can assure you. Now, how many of these third-party adoptions would you say you had undertaken in the past 5 years?
I couldn't say.
Is it too large a number to guess at?
15, maybe?
Not more?
I doubt it.
Not 40 or more?
I doubt it.
Dr. Katy, please, would you have a look at these documents? That is a list of adoptions in which the Crown Solicitors suggest you have acted as third party during the last 5 years. Look at it, please, will you? Is that suggestion correct, or have some wrong names been included? I mean, are there any names there which shouldn't be there?
Not that I can see immediately.
There are over 40, Dr. Katy, not 15. I mean, have you any idea why women scatter the length and breadth of this country should travel miles to see you?
I have a reputation through my book.
A medical handbook, surely. Hardly general reading, would you agree?
Possibly.
Here is a Miss Stephanie Grattle who travelled from Liskeard in Cornwall to consult you. Do you remember Miss Grattle?
Yes.
Do you know why she travelled from Cornwall to consult you?
Well, she probably wanted the best treatment she could get.
Do you know what the going price of a baby is, Dr. Katy?
I don't know what you mean.
Well, I will tell you. In a recently published book, the price of an infant is put at something around £4,000. Did you know that?
I know nothing of it.
Have you ever been offered money for an infant by any of your far-flung clients?
No, never.
You want this court to believe that you have been dealing in this valuable commodity for all these years and that you were never aware that it had a value.
That is the case.
Well. Let us turn now to the matter of Miss Deirdre Thompson. Now, Miss Thompson came to you wanting a termination of her pregnancy, did she not?
Yes.
And it is clear that in Miss Thompson's case, she had not gone beyond 16 weeks.
But it's clear now. It certainly wasn't clear then.
Oh, come, Dr. Katy, this is your job. This is your expertise, surely one of the most elementary parts of it. Are you trying to tell this court that a man of your experience could be mistaken as something so elementary?
It is, in fact, extremely difficult to ascertain precisely how far advanced a pregnancy is by examination alone, if the mother is unsure of her dates.
The fact is that you knew perfectly well when you first saw her that her pregnancy could be terminated perfectly legitimately and with no danger to her at all.
I knew no such thing. I thought there was a very good chance that she would change her mind, that she'd want to keep her child, and time has proved me right.
Do you not mean that you wanted to talk her into it, in the hope that you might be able to arrange for its adoption? Were you not, as she has said, painting the situation as grimly as possible to her and presenting adoption arranged by you as her only recourse?
No.
So Miss Thompson was lying when she said this is what you did.
Yes, she was.
Can you think of any reason why she should make up such lies about you, if lies they were?
I was the closest observer of her rejection of her child. She is now seeking to blame me for that rejection.
Oh. Well, now I'd like now to turn to the events of the 31st of July of last year. That is the day you performed the operation on Miss Thompson. I mean, there is no question, is there, that it was you who performed the operation?
I performed the operation, yes.
And would you agree that this is a serious operation, causing a severe wound?
Oh, yes, indeed.
And would you agree that to inflict such a wound on a person without good reason would be to do that person a most serious and grievous harm?
I would most certainly agree, if it were done without good reason.
Now, we have heard that on the afternoon of the 31st of July last, on your second visit to Miss Thompson, you discovered that all was not well with her labor. That is correct, is it not?
Yes, it is.
Well, now, would you agree with Miss Horton, though you may not have perceived the necessity for this operation at that time, it was nonetheless evident if you had looked?
I was too occupied with Miss Bowden's behavior.
You see, if I understand both your and Miss Horton's testimony correctly, there is this moment when there are all three of you in this room, yourself, Miss Horton, and Miss Bowden, with experience in obstetrics, totaling in excess of 100 years. And none of you realizes, or at least none of you does anything about the distress of this unborn infant, the imminent danger to its life.
But you need look no further than to Miss Bowden's behavior for your answer to that question.
Are you saying that Miss Bowden was physically preventing you from attending to your patient?
Her behavior was.
Oh, Dr. Katy, the wounded and dying have been tended to on battlefields, under fire, in bombed and burning cities. And are you trying to tell us here that you were unable to attend to this case because of the behavior of a single midwife?
I am telling you what my decision was at that time.
I suggest to you, Dr. Katy, that the reason you had to get rid of Miss Bowden was because you realized, with understandable horror, that she suspected that the labor was being interfered with in order that you might obtain that infant.
No.
Now, we have heard a lot about fetal distress. But wouldn't a contraction that could endanger the life of an unborn child also cause extreme pain to the mother? Yet Miss Thompson has told us that she suffered no such pain.
Birth is a painful business at the best of times. She may not have distinguished that pain.
I see. Now, when you returned to the delivery room after making sure Miss Bowden was off the premises, you immediately set things in train for this operation. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, under these circumstances, wasn't Miss Horton the most obvious person to help in the operating theater?
No.
She was to hand. You have told us that she helped you in the past. Why did she not help you in this emergency operation?
Because she had other work to attend to.
Oh, I see. Now, Dr. Katy, after this child was born, how long was it before Miss Thompson saw it?
As far as I know, she didn't see it until the third day after it was born.
But why didn't you or one of your staff take it to Miss Thompson as a matter of course?
Because she said that she did not wish to see it. We were afraid of alienating her from it.
Miss Thompson has told us that she was anxious to see the child.
Well, it's understandable that she should say that now.
I put it to you that Miss Thompson asked to see her child and that you refused her.
That is not the case.
I mean, did you not have a conversation with Miss Thompson immediately after the child was born, telling her that you had arranged for it to go to a good home where it would be well looked after?
No.
Did you not tell Miss Thompson that this couple had kindly agreed to pay for her treatment?
I said no such thing.
Did you tell her, as she has said you did, that she should think of the welfare of the child and not be so selfish?
No.
Is there any motive that you can attribute to Miss Thompson for telling to this court what you claim to be a pack of lies?
She is seeking to transfer her guilt for the rejection of her child onto myself and onto Miss Horton.
Have you seen Miss Thompson with her child since you allowed her to have it?
Yes, indeed I have. And I'm thankful to see that she is now entirely reconciled to it.
Miss Thompson didn't pay for her stay at your clinic, did she?
No.
That was because of the arrangement that the child should be adopted, wasn't it?
No, there was no such arrangement. She should have been sent an account like any other patient.
And what happened to the bill?
Well, my solicitor asked me about this 2 days ago. So far, we've been unable to trace it. Maybe the accounts clerk neglected to send one out. I really don't concern myself with that side of things.
I put it to you, Dr. Katy, that you had arranged for Miss Thompson's child to go for adoption for a handsome sum of money. and that you would hope by keeping her separated from it during those crucial days to prevent her natural affection for it from developing, and thereby ensure that within the next few weeks you would be able to get her consent for that adoption, to which you would never otherwise have agreed to.
No, I never had any such idea.
The charge is that Dr. Katy wounded Miss Thompson with intent to cause grievous bodily harm, and that Miss Horton actively encouraged this, either by being instrumental in obtaining Miss Thompson's agreement to be treated by Dr. Katy and to have her child adopted, or by actively assisting at that caesarean operation, or both. Now, there can be no doubt that Dr. Katy did inflict a most serious wound on Miss Thompson, and that he did so intentionally. Therefore, it follows that he wounded her with intent to cause grievous bodily harm simply by carrying out that operation. This would be no crime, no offense, if that were a bona fide, necessary surgical operation. So there you have the question for yourselves as regards Dr. Katy. Was the operation necessary, as he asserts, or was it done to prevent the mother developing that feeling for her child which a mother develops during a natural birth? Well, that is the case put to you by learned counsel for the prosecution. That Dr. Katy would have lost the opportunity of selling that child for adoption if the mother felt too strongly for the child after the birth. Now, you must consider each defendant separately. So with regard to Miss Horton, you must ask yourselves, did she actively participate in a plan which involved an unnecessary operation, or did she actively assist at an operation knowing it was unnecessary, or both? For if she did either, or both, she's guilty. Now, the prosecution must prove their case to your entire satisfaction. And if you are not so satisfied, then you must acquit. Will you now please retire and consider your verdict?
Members of the jury, will your foreman please stand? Just answer this question, yes or no. Have you reached a verdict on which you're all agreed?
Yes.
Do you find the accused, Dr. Hector Katy, guilty or not guilty on the charge of unlawful wounding?
Guilty.
Is that the verdict of you all?
Yes.
Do you find the accused Winifred Horton guilty or not guilty on the charge of aiding and abetting?
Not guilty.
Dr. Hector Katy was fined £1,000 and given a 6 months suspended sentence. You can join another jury and assess the facts when our cameras return to bring you a leading case from the Crown Court.